Hey, muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and as always enjoying family. Again, gracias Tony for allowing me to get on your platform. Stories written by a current prisoner to share my stories in the hopes that my experience in life can help someone stay focused on what they want in life and maintain them away from the prison lifestyle. Now, before I get into the story, I want to start off again by thanking everybody for all your kind words and for everyone's prayers. I really do appreciate it a lot. Muchas gracias. Now, for this story, I want to touch on a camarada. They call him Fernie from El Sereno, and how he basically done got done wrong from an individual that he trusted a lot and did a lot for. Okay, well, the first time that I met Fernie was actually into atropine. I remember he had gotten pulled in due to a big old power struggle that he had in Calipat. You know, he was asked to remove the mesa and take over the yard for his homeboy or el señor Indio from El Sereno, which he tried, but the vatos that had the yard, they weren't having it, so they went to war, which they ended up catching street turns behind. So we were back there, and he was an older homie. He had me by about 5 6 years, but he was real cool to get along with. He was one of those older camaradas, but you know, with a youngster's heart. He liked to play around. And he was famous, and he told me a little bit of his background story with Indio and how they went back to the streets, and you know, so basically he wasn't just assisting his homeboy or the señor, he was assisting his homeboy. Is why he went in it full force to assist him. And within time, I pulled away and I ended up going to Corcoran as I have put out on my story. And you know, I guess he finished his term and then he went to Sadef. Now, when I was in Corcoran, there was this paisa, this Maiceron, he he had plugs, the Jaime from Jalisco. He had his family moved a lot of weight out there in El Monte. So basically, the paisa, he was touching a lot of people's hands, and that's why they kept looking away from him. Cause I remember he got caught for killing two vatos from El Monte Flores, and you know, even though it was behind that, I think they never pressed an issue due to he was moving weight, so he was basically speaking this señores language, which was money and drugs. But anyways, the paisa ended up going to Sadef too, and a little time after, you know, word started circling around again to the shoe. I remember I was already validated, and it had came down that you know Fernie had been ordered to take over Sadef, and what she did. But there was a little power struggle with the paisas, to be more specific, with Jaime and him. So they ended up they basically went at it. They got back there to the shoe, and Fernie had gotten validated because he was in the mix already in a few power struggles. backing up his homeboy Indio. So this happened, and the paisa he probably went to the A side shoe, cause I we didn't run across him, but we were talking there, and as I told him my story, within time I ended up hitting Pelican Bay, and while I was sitting up there, maybe like a year and a half after I was already up there, then Fernie drove up, and well, he was glad, he was glad that he was going to be up there with his homeboy after so many years. He was going to be able to at least conversate with him more directly, even though it's not possible back there. It's just pen and paper, basically. But, you know, what I want the story to focus on is that, that Paisa ended up catching a bigger shoot term due to him taking out another Paisa. And he ended up landing up there in Pelican Bay. He was not validated, but he ended up, picking up a bigger shoot term, and they send him up there. Now, while we're up there, I want you guys to keep in mind, that, Fernie had already caught multiple shoot terms. He had got him validated. He has gone to war for for his homeboy, Senor Indio, taking over yards, disputing, just basically trying to expand on his homeboy Indio's power. So when they were up there, I don't know, I really don't know what agreement that Paisa and Indio had, but it had to be around drugs. The Paisa probably plugged them in with some drugs or promised them to something like that, and the Paisa started pushing the agenda on Fernie, which it lasted for a while, because I remember that it got brought up one day when in a conversation with Chino, that we were out there visiting, and basically they were talking about it, and Chino was telling him like, nah, leave it alone. What happened in the past, and this. But the Paisa, he kept pressing the issue with Indio. Now, to be sincere, nobody thought it was gonna lead to nowhere, because like I stated before, that was Fernie's homeboy. So, but like I said, I don't really know what went in the conversations between the Paisa and Indio, but it had to be it had to be with drugs, And I know for a fact that the Paisa back there in the shoe, I don't know how he was doing it, but he was getting a little bit of clavo, 2-3 grams here and there, and next thing Indio greenlighted his homeboy Fernie. Out of nowhere, he just greenlights him. And I remember when people were asking him like, "Hey, what happened right here?" I thought that homeboy was solid, and he spoke up about supposedly something that had occurred on the streets, that homeboy did something that he wasn't supposed to, which were lies. We all knew they were lies, because this man was running his messes at prisons, trying to take over yards. And at the end of the day, he ended up putting him in the hat, And why I think it's funny is that they did it so openly. Well, he did it so openly against his own homeboy, that sacrificed again, you know, what he needed to sacrifice to please this man, and he got tossed out. Just like that, his whole homeboy tossed him out. And it was so obvious within time, because once they have a plug like that, once one gets it, basically they all trying to get a good plug. So The paisa got out the shoe, and next thing you know, they were basically touching base with him on the streets. The paisa's family all lived in El Monte, so it was real clear why he had thrown Fernie under the bus, and it's just, it's sad, because like I stated, throughout the years, I had ran across Fernie, and man, he was holding it down for his own boy. But when it came for Indio to decide between money, dope, or stay loyal to his homeboy, and Indio was quick to throw his homeboy under the bus. It's what I have repeated on here time and time again. It don't matter what you do at the end of the day, if you're not part of their inner circle, and not even when you're part of the inner circle, you still get thrown aside. But when you don't have nothing to offer, money wise, drug wise, all that work you put in at the end of the day is not gonna mean anything. You know, these are tecatos that all they can think about is, what could go up their vein, or what money you could bring to the table for them to buy and get high. All that, like in this case, we known each other since kids, whatever, all that stops existing. And it's real hard or sad to see how so many camaradas always throw their life away to please these people, and at the end of the day, it's like it don't mean nothing. Is why I know I sound like a broken record all the time. That those that are out there, man, they need to start valuing themselves. Hold pride in what you do for yourself, because these people, they ain't never ever gonna be satisfied with what you do for them. If you don't bring what catches their eyes, it's just no factor. Because man, not only Fernie, but there was this other guy. you know they called him Termite from El Sereno. And this guy, for a while, he was holding yards down for Indio. And just one day, somebody didn't like him, and they ended up paying Indio. I remember they ended up paying something good, and Indio had him whacked by his own mesa. So this goes out to all those youngsters that are on the streets glorifying prison or glorifying these people, and thinking that what you do is going to be acknowledged or recognized by them. It's just never going to happen. It's just facts. It's like, in my personal case, I could sincerely tell you that I know for a fact, the minute I pulled away, all those years that I did for them, and supported them as much as I could, I didn't mean anything. But again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record. It's just to those youngsters, open your eyes, man. Value value your loved ones. There is no glory in spending your life in prison. Giving your life away for a causa that ain't there. And you know, look at it. Like a stupid person is telling you. I went down this path. I was on the streets. And I went in and I kept trying to be this person in these people's eyes and ears, and I kept catching trouble after trouble, and I just went down a spiral that it's there's suffering in it, just because you're sitting back there acting all macho, it don't mean, you're struggling with yourself. I could sincerely tell you, man, that when you're in the shoe, man, there's times that the shoe catches up to you. You could be the strongest man in the world, and yeah, you get past it, but for that moment that you start thinking about, the kids you leave behind, the people you leave behind, or you're sitting back there, and next thing you know, they're telling you your loved ones are passing by. Because let me just share another little story real fast with you guys. So I won't take much of you guys' time. But, you know, I was in Tehachapi Shoe. I remember I was underneath the Senor T from Kuka. And I was sitting back there. And I remember that, first it was the Judas came to my door and they told me, like, hey, cuff up. They want to talk to you. And I told them straight up, I ain't cuffing up. I ain't coming out to talk to nobody. And next thing you know, that preach showed up to my door, and he goes, you know, I think you should come out. I need you to make a phone call, and here it is. And right away next to me was a senor, Danny boy from White Fence and Pancho from Verdugo. And right away they told me, like, hey fool, go out there and see what they're gonna say. Mind you, at this time, I still thought that I was Superman in my head, because as I stated before, there was no Superman in me. I used to be not even the hormiga atomica. I was just in my mind I was somebody, I guess. But I went out there and I remember that they told me that my brother had a car accident. And when I got busted, I had two boys. And that in that car accident, what had happened, that my brother was parking, and my oldest of the two boys opened the door to the side of the streets to get off, and it was a car, a truck, I'm not really sure, from the side of the street ran into them. When he ran into them, he automatically killed one of my sons and one of my brothers. You know, how can I put this into words? You know, you, the only thing that existing is out there is, that I had for myself was my two boys and my brother, my only brother, and they come tell you that they're gone. Not only that, but then they start getting into details that, once the car hit my brother's car, my boy that had jumped out, the the car didn't just kill him, but he dragged him underneath the car for a whole block. I mean, just picture that. And you busted 23 hours a day in a shoe, in a place you can't show weakness. So what do? You go back and you swallow it. You swallow all that pain, man. Cause hell yeah, sincerely, I was in pain. I just couldn't show it, you know. And and the señores or camaradas at the time, they go like, hey, what happened? And you kind of tell them through the surface on what had happened, and nah, camarada, toughen it up, toughen it up. Just hit the routine and man up. But come on, man up. You know what I really wanted to do, man? I wanted to run and scream and pretend I was a 4-year-old boy, cry till but I couldn't. Knowing how much strength and agony you put yourself, your mind, your body, holding that back. But I put myself in the situation where I couldn't be open like that. And why? Why spend time in a place surrounded by a man that just through the surface they're like, hey camarada, nah, hey homie, I love you. Hey fool, I got love for you, when it's not true. The minute something better comes or that benefits them, they're the ones that are gonna turn around and stab you. It's just facts. You gotta uphold this machismo that people hold prisoners to, that is just not human. And I'm not saying it to be like, oh, I'm just, imagine this man that gave up, man, most of his life, at least the little piece you have in prison of walking the mainland and everything for this person, war after war. How did he feel when his own camarada, that señor that you did all this for, threw you under the bus for some drugs and some money? You know, let alone, I'm your homie, but, you know, you're taking a paisa with money and drugs over your own homeboy you grew up with. It's sad, but that's what the causa is. The causa ain't about what soldado you could be. Nah, the causa is about what you could bring to the table. And dope fiends will always be dope fiends. It's facts. I know I've seen it a lot of times on the streets where you know homeboys attack homeboys because they're so strung out. So you just, hey, I'll pay you an 8 ball or I'll pay you this, and they don't care. It's just what game banging became. And even now in the system, I mean, think about it. There's no more loyalty. There's no more loyalty. It's just do what I say and stay out my way. And but it's a lot of times, man. I could sit here and tell you, man, there were so many times that I felt that I needed to cave in, and I couldn't do it. Man, it's I remember my mom, the first time she was able to visit me with my other son, the one that survived, um, was later on in Corcoran, and I had already had cancer, and you know, she came up to visit me, and she started crying. She started crying because I was so pale for being back there in the shoe, not getting no sun, and you know, how is someone gonna sit here and say, you're sitting behind a glass, looking at your mother cry because of the way you look, and you can't show any type of emotion because you're worried about the next man in the next visiting room seeing you show that weakness. I mean, that ain't being part of human. That's why I don't touch enough on value your family, value yourself. Don't put yourself to those, all that other extra stuff, like going to war, getting stabbed, stabbing someone. You could get over that, man. But the suffering you put your family through, that's never gonna happen. It is why I concentrate on you. Like, man, I could never forgive myself. That I got busted when my son that got taken, man, he was about 8 months old. My other one was 5 months. He didn't even know what his dad was. Through pictures. Other than that, I can sincerely say, those are the people I should have stayed loyal to. But, you know, that's why I'm hoping that from my errors, somebody could smarten up and do better for themselves. Like I said, it's part of our history, to get involved with neighborhoods, but you know, it's also smart to, you know, to mature, to be smarter than the game, Don't let the game beat you like it beat me. Beat the game. Beat these phonies. You can stay loyal to your neighborhood, to your homeboys, but this fake causa that senores are putting out there, beat that. Stay away from all that. But anyways, mi gente, I just thought I would share this story real fast. Sorry if I jumped around from topic to topic. I just thought I would share with you a little bit more about myself. In my next story, I want to share with you the day I got busted. Just uh, just to show you that type of individual I was when I got busted. I hated life and how, but I would touch on that. But with this said, mi gente, I just thought I would stop in and just wish everybody the greatest of blessings to you and family. Muchas gracias, and like I always say, stay true to yourself and always value your family. Muchas gracias y muy buenas noches.